Despite the pandemic shutting down in-person learning most of last year, Salem-Keizer Public Schools graduation rates continued their upward climb. Data released January from the Oregon Department of Education shows 8 in 10 students graduated in 4 years. Graduation rates for Black and African American students increased by 3 points over the previous year for a whopping 2-year total of 22 points. A remarkable achievement considering the district is one of the most diverse in the state, with students speaking 88 different languages and 44% identifying as Hispanic or Latinx. So what's behind the rise? What is the district getting right and why? Welcome to InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw. We are talking today with Cynthia Richardson, hired in 2017 to head the district's new Office of Student Equity, Access, and Achievement. Her pioneering work engaging and working with the underrepresented students of the district to ensure their success in school is our focus today. Good afternoon, Cynthia. Thank you for joining us today on InSight.
Hello, Wendy. Thank you for having me.
Well, this is such an exciting time because to hear that graduation rates have gone up, especially for students of color, that's a big deal. And I know that your job as Director of Student Equity, Access, and Advancement since 2017 is to do just exactly that, among other things. But that's a big job. And you must be feeling so satisfied to see this, right? Along with the kids who are graduating.
What I found in my years of educational experience is when you meet student and parent needs, you get the improvements you need. So basically, what we did in this department was hired people with similar lived experiences, people that spoke the same languages as the students and their families, people that looked like them, and who really understood the needs of those parents and students and was able to identify those barriers, those obstacles, and those challenges and help students and families learn how to overcome.
And right now, one of the biggest things they have to overcome is the economy and the pandemic itself. And that really is weighing heavily on the minds of both parents and students, isn't it? You talk to them, you know.
We had made some tremendous progress in graduation rates, especially for our marginalized and students of color. Our African American graduation rate increased 19% prior to the pandemic. I'm truly concerned about what the results will be now as a result of the pandemic. I do believe that there will be larger disparities for our students of color, our students of socioeconomic needs, our students with different languages. I believe that we will see some disparities there.
What are they dealing with? People don't have any idea. Can you give us an idea of what's going on in their lives that's making it hard?
Some of our families lost their jobs. And so their students are out trying to find ways to provide for the family, or the older students are having to provide childcare for the younger students, or there are medical issues and concerns in the homes where the older parents, grandparents may not be able to go out and work. It's just a large amount of different reasons why families have been impacted by the pandemic and are unable to meet the educational needs of their students.
So right now, you must have a plan in place for how to say, okay, we know what we need to do. What are you doing to see if you can help them?
Our district got Student Success Act funds called Student Investment Account funds. And they spent hours and hours of meeting with community members to find out what are the needs. What do we need to do to improve the academic achievement of your students? How can we help meet some of the needs so that you can get to school and do what you need to do? Uh, we had weeks and weeks meeting with all types of groups of people to find out exactly what the needs were. And as a result of that, this committee came up with a budget and allocated positions and different supports that they felt needed to be funded in order to overcome these obstacles and challenges. The funding sources that I oversee are called CSOCs and community resource specialists. Those positions we have hired specifically for demographic groups, for the African American population, the Pacific Islander population, the Latinx population, the LGBTQ population, the Native American population, special ed population. So we are hiring people who truly understand the needs of those populations. These are people that have had training on how the wellness check training, so they know how to be safe and how to go out to those homes and engage with those parents and students, identify what the needs are, what the obstacles are, what the challenges are, and help brainstorm solutions, connect them with community resources, and get them engaged with school. So if you don't have internet, we work with our district in providing internet connectivity for your family. If you don't have a device at home, we check a device out and get it to you and your family. If you don't have food, we have locations around the district where kids can get breakfast and lunch free up to age 18 daily to meet those food needs. We also have community resources that provide food boxes. We make sure they know where those food box locations are, what days and times that those food boxes are available to them. Whatever the need is, we help brainstorm, and then they also advocate for these students and parents and make sure that the teachers know why the kids are not connecting and find out why, what assignments they are missing so that they can help those kids get back on track.
Cynthia, all of this builds on something that started this year with Care and Connect. And I know that your whole job is making sure that students and their parents are connected to their school and really walking along together. And all that support that is going to them through your home coach program and everything. What I want to know about is those students who graduated. I look at the pictures that you sent me. They're beautiful. They're so proud. And you know what they've gone through to achieve what they have, starting most of them, I believe, in the 9th grade with a plan. Can you tell me about how that all worked? It just seems extraordinary, but there was a plan and they followed it.
And that's the important part. We have all types of systems right now in Salem Keizer that we didn't have when I was a high school principal. The MTSS system, the PBIS system, but we have groups of people working together to make sure that we are supplying what our students and families need. The home coaches, that's new this year as well. Without understanding what's going on in the homes, without communicating with parents, you can't help parents and students overcome those obstacles and challenges that they are experiencing. So doing a better job of going out to the homes. We care about you. We want to make sure you're okay. Are you eating? Do you have what you need to be able to meet your daily needs? Those type of things. But yes, there are several systems that have been put in place the last 2 years that are making a difference in the lives of our families. But are we still missing some of our families? Yes. Some of our families do not open the doors when they see certain people at the door. If they don't know you, they don't trust you, they're not going to allow you to interact with them. uh, that's the reason it's very, very important that we found culture specific people to go to those homes so that people felt like there was some familiarity, something similar about us, something that helps me to trust you and to believe that you really want to make a difference for me and my family.
You've been a teacher for how long? When did you start teaching?
You're going to age me. 1979.
Where did you teach in
I
1970?
taught in Tyler, Texas at Robert E. Lee High School. I was one of maybe 3 staff of color at that high school.
Well, then from there you went to all over the place. You went to Nebraska. You went to a number of places. You have a long career. But I'm thinking how things have changed since you got into the field of education. How did you become someone who decided, I want to go beyond just teaching. I want to get kids engaged so that then they see themselves as being a high school graduate, maybe even going to college. Tell me about that. What happened to you that made you decide this needs to be done and I'm going to do it?
After 11 years of being in the classroom and being limited to the number of students that you could really impact and influence, I decided that I wanted to become an administrator. I put in over 75 applications just across the states. I was ready to make a difference in the lives of others, and whatever door opened, that's where I was going. I ended up in Lancaster, Texas. I ended up at the district office because they really didn't have a job. But the superintendent said, I want to hire you. And so they did. And that year, I did a lot of what I'm doing right now. There were students that were not coming to school. There were kids that were not performing well in schools. So I did home visits, went out to homes, found those parents, found those kids, found out why they weren't in school, and got them back in school. After 1 year of doing that, there was an elementary school that had a vacancy, and their principal had been there for years. But they reached out to the superintendent and said, because of the impact I had had in getting kids back in school, getting kids back on track, they wanted me to be their principal. So I became the first African-American principal in Lancaster, Texas at that time. I don't know how I end up doing this over and over again, but it happens. And then I got recruited to Lincoln, Nebraska. It was not in my plans. But went there as an associate principal of Lincoln High School. And it was really beautiful, most multicultural school I had ever been in my life. In Texas, we dealt with African Americans, whites, and Hispanics. I had never seen some of the cultures that I came involved with in Lincoln, Nebraska. I mean, it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful, the type of kids I came in contact with. But at the time, I was married to a postman who was delivering mail every day. And after the snow seasons, he looked at me and he says, I can't do this anymore. He says, I freeze to death and come home, and all I do is sit in front of the fireplace and try to thaw out every night. And so he was ready to go. And I just ended up being at the right place at the right time. I was recruiting for Lincoln, Nebraska, but I got recruited by Salem Keizer Public Schools. And the story is I've been here 23 years. I've been assistant principal at McKay High School, assistant principal at Adam Stevens Middle School, principal at McKay High School 7 years, principal at North Salem High School 7 years, and I'm in my 4th year as Director of Student Equity, Access, and Advancement. Every one of the jobs have a similar theme and purpose for me. And that's doing everything that you can possibly do to make sure that all students know that they are important, that they are valued, and that they can do and be whatever they want to do and be, and that they cannot allow anyone to give up on themselves, and they can't give up on themselves. They have to continue to strive to reach their goals and know that they too can be anything they want to be.
And
I'll go back to Go ahead. I'll go back to McKay. When I walked into McKay, kids would walk up to me. They were shocked that I was their principal. They had never seen a person of color in a high school principal position here in Salem. And they would look at me and they'd say, "You're my principal." And I'd say back to them, "Honey, you can be a principal and much more. I just want you to know that."
Keep going on that because you and I talked a little bit beforehand about what it takes to kind of bird dog the kids and make sure that whatever obstacles they have, they're overcome.
Yes. It was
That's what you
very,
told me, and I love your story.
it was very, very important to put roadmaps and systems in place for students to help them understand that yes, they could overcome challenges and obstacles. And yes, you can complete high school. And yes, you can go to college. And yes, you can get scholarships. Yes, you can be attorneys, doctors, teachers, whatever you want to be. But first, it starts with you have to believe it. And then we were able to implement AVID. AVID helps walk students year to year on all the necessary goals, all the necessary steps they must take in order to graduate and then apply to college and apply to scholarships, and how to make that transition to college. Yes. Put Aspire program in. You hire people who have the heart and believe in these kids, people who go up and beyond the call of duty to work with these kids and that know and believe that they too can overcome these obstacles and challenges, and helping them to see themselves in those goals and in those positions that they aspire to become.
That's a big deal because many are, I think, first generation to maybe graduate from high school and first generation applying for college.
Yes. So when you have never had anyone in your family that graduated from high school or did not go off to college, sometimes you don't have those same expectations for yourself. So it's about teaching them, yes, you be the first, you make a difference for your family, you reach back and pull others up in your family and help them come along with you as you achieve these goals.
Do some students ask for help when it comes right on down to, all right, I don't know how to learn this particular thing? You gave me an example. I thought it was really neat involving making a circle about this, making just something that say this is how you break it down.
So in AVID, there are different techniques that we use, such as highlighting, underlining, circling words, and helping them to summarize and comprehend exactly what a passage is teaching them or telling them, and how to apply it to the next phase of their learning. You know, we all learn differently. Some of us are visual learners, some of us are auditory learners, but it's about being able to differentiate that instruction and helping the kids to take it, analyze it, and utilize it for what the teacher's asking them to produce.
And what about things like AP courses? That's our advanced placement, and you do have students in there. How do you help them?
Basically, we had to remove the barriers. When I first came to McKay and North, in order to be in an AP class, you had to be recommended by a teacher. A teacher had to see that you had that potential. Basically, if I am a white teacher, my expectations for you are different. If I've never had a student of color in an AP class, I may not believe that students of color can excel in an AP class. So we, as a district, invested in equal opportunity schools. This was a program that came into our schools, surveyed our kids, analyzed our kids for different characteristics to determine whether they would be successful in AP classes. Once those students got in AP classes, I knew that they were going to need additional supports. So at North Salem High School, we put into place AP support classes. And in those classes, we hired AP teachers who believed that the kids could be successful, who was able to diagnose, analyze those gaps in those students' learning, help close those gaps, accelerate learning, and help them be able to be successful when they went back into the AP classes.
So much of this involves a learning that I can break this down, I can do this, I can learn how to do it, I can learn how to track my success, and that has to give students a lot of confidence.
The most important thing is for the kids to know that we believe in them and that they can do it.
Well, Cynthia, this has been a wonderful conversation. I wish that we had more time to go into so many other things. Can I ask you if you have a story that you like to tell people about one student or a group of students, just anything you'd like to tell us that sort of illustrates why it's so important and so gratifying, the work that you do?
I've had so many success stories, and it's just been so great to see a student that comes to school who does not have goals, who does not believe that they can be successful, but with a group of supporters who wrap themselves around this student and continues to tell this student, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. It's sort of like Thomas the Train, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And then you hear it over and over and over again. Then you start believing, I can do it, I can, I will do it, I will do it. So yes, I've had students who have gotten pregnant and who wanted to quit school and give up, and we didn't let them. We found ways to wrap our arms around them, give them the support they needed, provide the supports their child needed. But yes, you can do this. You can do this. Students who are homeless for some reason, parents are no longer there for them, and they find themselves alone, finding homes for them, finding supports for them, providing the needs for their needs. Just doing whatever it takes. Every student is important. Every student counts, and no student should be left behind because of the circumstances they find themselves in at a particular time. It is our responsibility to make sure that they know that they can overcome any challenges, any mountains that they happen to encounter. Just continue to believe in themselves, continue to work hard, and eventually it will pay off. But the most important thing is for them to remember what they went through to achieve their goals and to reach back and pull others up to do the same thing.
That's a wonderful way to leave our viewers today with a sense of hope, inspiration, and optimism. I had heard that you had a passion for what you do. Now I know it. Thank you so much, Cynthia Richardson. Thank you so much for joining us today on InSight, and we will see you again. I want to keep up with you and find out how those kids are doing, each group.
We'll let you know. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us today on InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw. You can learn more about Salem-Keizer Schools graduation rates and the Office of Student Equity, Access, and Achievement at the Salem-Keizer School District website.